Measurement of capacity. The measurement of capacity is same in both these systems, but measurement of weight is different. The gallon, gal, is the standard unit and all other measures of capacity are derived from it as follows. 1/4 of a gallon equals 1 quart, 1/2 of a quart equals 1 pint, 1/20th of a pint equals 1 fluid ounce. 1/8 of fluid ounce equals 1 fluid drams, 1/60th of fluid dram equals 1 minim. Packaging. Packaging is the art of preparing goods for transportation and sale. It may be defined as the means, method and device for ensuring the safe delivery of product to the ultimate consumer in the desired condition at a minimum over effort. The drug quality is directly dependent on the packaging quantity. Packing includes the use of container enclosures. A container may be defined as a device that contains or is intended to contain a drug substance or a dosage and is or may be in direct contact with it. Depending on the material of its construction, these may be paper or glass or plastic or metallic container. Desirable characteristics of containers. The containers should have the following desirable characteristics. 1. They should be capable of providing protection to the medicaments from environmental conditions like air, light and moisture and microbes like bacteria, molds and insects. 2. They should not permit loss of contents due to leakage, spillage or permeation. 3. The containers should not interact with the preparation in any manner during storage. 4. The constituents of containers should neither absorb or adsorb the ingredients from the preparation nor should they themselves leach out into the preparation. 5. They should not impart any taste or odor to the preparation. 6. They should be rigid and strong enough to withstand normal handling and transport. 7. They should be able to withstand sterilization temperature and pressure, if so required. 8. Containers meant for sterile products should remain sterile until the contents have been used up. 9. They must be adaptable to commonly employed high-speed packaging equipment. 10. They should be economical, easy to clean and elegant in appearance. Selection of container I involve a careful consideration of following criteria. 1. Sterility of the product. 2. Photosensitivity of drug. 3. Volatility of drug and other ingredients present in formulations. 4. Pressure inside the container. 5. Incompatibility between the constituents of the product and the container. 6. Hygroscopic properties of the drug. 7. Utility of the product. Size reduction. Size reduction may be defined as the process of reducing the of material to a finer state of subdivision. Comminution, grinding, or milling are other terms used for process of size reduction. Particle size reduction is directly or indirectly related to many pharmaceutical processes, which are as follows. 1. Particle size reduction greatly enhances the dissolution rate and hence the bioavailability of poorly soluble drugs because of the increase in the specific surface area per unit weight of the material. 2. Therapeutic efficacy of certain drugs can be completely attributed to their particle size reduction. For example, colloidal gold. 3. The extraction of active constituents from crude drugs and animal glands is facilitated and more complete by reducing the size of the material. This is because a reduction in the size of the material increases the surface area of contact between the solid and the solvent, enabling better penetration of the solvent into the tissues. The physical stability of suspensions is greatly influenced by the particle size of the dispersed phase. Larger size causes the particles to settle rapidly, but these redisperse on shaking. On the other hand, a reduction in the particle size slows down the settlement of the particles, but once settled, these form a hard cake which is difficult to redisperse. 5. The physical stability and elegance of emulsions is enhanced by size reduction of the emulsified phase. 6. Selection of proper size of the suspended particles helps in the processes of filtration and sedimentation. 7. The distribution of a solid drug component in ointments, creams, pastes, etc. is improved by size reduction. It also improves the texture, appearance and stability of the product. 8. Mixing of powders is more uniform, reliable and easier if the powders are approximately of the same size range. 9. Particle size reduction to a very fine state of subdivision render dosage forms like dusting powders, insufflations, etc. less irritating. 10. Particle size of the drug determines its position and retention in the respiratory tract. Thus, it is desirable to use coarser particle size for products like nasal powders where a low degree of penetration into the respiratory tract is desired. On the other hand, for product like inhalation aerosols, it is usual to use very fine particles of the size range of 0.5 to 4.0 μ for optimum effect. 11. Efficiency of lubricants used for tablets and capsules can be attributed to their fine particle size. As these are required to give a fine uniform coat to the granulation and powders, their fine particle size is a prerequisite for optimum performance. 12. Particle size reduction enhances the rate of drying of a material by increasing its exposed surface area. 13. The adsorbing or absorbing capacity of substances is significantly increased by size reduction. 14. Size reduction sometimes decreases the bulkiness of certain substances. For example, the volume occupied by a powdered sample is much less than the whole bark of a medicinal herb. 15. Particle size also influences the color and texture of certain drugs. There are many methods of size reduction: cutting, compression, impact, attrition, which are selected on the basis of material properties, e.g., hardness, toughness, material structure, etc. Cutting. It involves slicing or cutting the material by means of a sharp blade or blades. On a small scale, cutting may be done using a sharp knife or scissors or any other sharp instrument. On a large scale, a cutter mill is used. Compression. In this, the material is crushed by application of pressure. On a small scale, a pestle and mortar is used, while on a large scale, a roller mill is used. Impact. This involves hitting of more or less a stationary material by an object moving at a high speed or striking of moving particle to a stationary surface, e.g. hammer mill. Attrition. It involves subjection of the material to pressure as in compression, but the surfaces are in motion with respect to each other, e.g., roller mill. Combined impact and attrition. Some of the mills, ball mill and fluid energy mill, work on both the principles of impact and attrition. Size separation. The control of particle size and size range is important, especially in case of where the efficiency is directly linked with particle size. Various methods employed for size separation are based on the physical properties of the material to be separated and on the desired particle size range. These include 1. Sieving. This method of size separation is used for separating fine powders from the coarse ones by the use of sieves of desired mesh size. The powder that passes through a particular sieve is assigned the sieve number of that particular sieve. In this method of size separation, the powder to be graded is allowed to pass through a nest of sieves arranged in descending order of mesh size. Shaking of the nest of sieves is either done manually or mechanically. 2. Sedimentation and elutriation. The sedimentation method utilizes the difference in the settling velocities of particles with different diameter for affecting size separation. The rate of sedimentation of particle is directly proportional to their particle size, so that bigger particles settle down faster than smaller ones. Elutriation differs from the sedimentation method in that the fluid in the sedimentation method is stationary while it moves in opposite to that of the settling particles in case of elutriation. 3. Cyclone separation. It works on the combined principles of centrifugation and sedimentation for affecting the process of size separation. The separation of particles depend not only on the size of particles but also on their density. The velocity of the fluid determines the particle size fraction obtained by the cyclone separator. Filtration. Filtration may be defined as the process of separating insoluble solid from a liquid or gas by means of a porous medium which retains the solid but allows the fluid to pass through. When the insoluble solids are present in small proportions, the process is usually referred to as clarification. Separation of coarse particle by using cotton wool or muslin cloth is called straining. The suspension of an insoluble solid in liquid is called a slurry. The clear liquid that is obtained from filtration is known as filtrate, while the solid retained on filter medium is called filter cake. The rate of filtration of a fluid through a filter medium may be expressed in the form of Darcy's equation. dV dt equals Ka, trinjal, P per nanoliter, where V is the volume of filtrate, T is the time required for filtration, K is a proportionality constant for the filter medium and filter cake, A is the area of filter medium, trinjal P is the pressure drop across the filter medium and filter cake, N is the viscosity of the filtrate, and I is the thickness of the cake. The proportionality constant, K, represents the permeability of the filter cake and may be expressed as K equals A cubed, 5, 1, A, 2 S2, where A is the porosity of the cake, and S is the specific surface area of the particles comprising the cake. Factors affecting the rate of filtration. The rate of filtration of a liquid across a filter medium depends on the following factors. 1. Surface area of the filter medium. The rate of filtration across a filter medium is directly proportional to its surface area. Larger the surface area, more will be the filtration rate. The rate of filtration can thus be increased by pleating a filter paper or using a fluted funnel, which increases the effective surface area of the filter paper. The filter press also works on a similar principle where a number of filters are used in parallel to give a very large surface area. 2. Nature of filter medium and filter cake. The rate of filtration is directly proportional to the porosity of the filter medium as well as the filter cake formed on the surface during filtration. If the pore size of the filter medium is large, the rate of filtration will be more. The rate of filtration increases when a coarse filter medium is used for filtration. The porosity of the filter cake is dependent on the nature of the solid particles to be removed from the liquid. It is for this reason that filter aids are sometimes added to the filtering liquid to make the cake porous and increase the rate of filtration. 3. Thickness of the filter cake. The rate of filtration is inversely proportional to the thickness of the filter cake. The cake thickness increases as the filtration proceeds due to deposition of solid particles and the rate of filtration decreases. Hence, it is desirable to keep the cake thickness low. 4. Pressure difference across the filter. The pressure difference across the filter medium plus filter cake, determines the rate of filtration through it. The rate may be increased by applying a positive pressure above the surface of the filter or by applying a vacuum, negative pressure, to the receiving vessel beneath it. 5. Viscosity of the filtrate. A viscous liquid filters out more slowly than less viscous ones. Reducing the viscosity of a liquid by raising its temperature may be used for accelerating the rate of filtration. For example, viscous oils and syrups are filtered quickly and easily while still hot. Mechanisms of filtration. The retention of particles by a filter media may be attributed to the following mechanisms, which act alone or in combination depending on the nature of the filter medium and the fluid to be filtered. These mechanisms are more prominent during the early stages of filtration, but once a cake has deposited, it acts as its own filter medium, with the straining mechanism becoming prominent. 1. Straining. This is the simplest mechanism of filtration, where the particles are retained by the pores of the filter media, which are generally smaller in size than the particles to be filtered. The process works in a manner similar to sieving. 2. Impingement. When a flowing fluid encounters a cylindrical object such as a fiber in the filter cloth, the flow pattern is displaced. Some of the suspended particles in the fluid that have sufficient momentum strike the filter and get retained, while others follow the displaced flow pattern of the fluid and are trapped a little later. Particles thus get accumulated on the surface and eventually form a filter cake. 3. Entanglement and bridging. When a filter medium like a fibrous cloth or a filter pad is used, the particles from the fluid get entangled in the mass of fibers and form bridges over them. Impingement is also involved during the process. 4. Attractive forces. In certain cases, particles may be retained as a result of electrostatic and other surface forces exerted by the filter media, which attract and retain them. An application of this mechanism is the electrostatic precipitator, where air is freed from dust particles by passing it over electrodes charged to a high potential. Extraction. Extraction may be defined as the process of extracting out active ingredients from animal or plant tissues by treating with specific solvents. In this process, active constituents are dissolved out, whereas the cell tissues and most of inactive or inert components remain undissolved. The solvent used for extraction is called menstruum, while the residue left behind is called mare. Various methods like infusion, decoction, maceration, percolation etc. are used to extract the active constituents from crude drug. Choice of extraction process depend upon the character of drug, stability of drug, therapeutic value of the drug, concentration of product, etc. 1. Infusion. This method is used for those drugs which are soft in nature, so that water may penetrate easily to the tissues and the active constituents are water soluble. In this process, the drug extraction is carried out by treating the whole of the drug with whole of the menstruum for a definite period of time. After the specified time, the liquid is strained and dispensed. The mark is not pressed to avoid expression of colloidal cells into the preparation, and the final volume of the preparation is not adjusted by adding more of vehicle, otherwise dilution of active constituents will take place. Cold or hot water is generally used as the menstruum, and the drug is treated for 15 minutes. Infusions must be freshly prepared and consumed within 24 hours of preparation. Examples of infusions are infusions of senna and quassia. 2. Decoction. Decoction is the process that was previously used for the extraction of water-soluble and heat-stable constituents of hard and woody crude drugs. The process consists of boiling the drug with water for a definite period of time, usually 10 to 15 minutes. After boiling, the liquid is cooled and the extract is filtered. More water is passed through the mare to produce the required volume. Decoction must be prepared freshly and consumed within 24 hours. 3. Maceration. The word maceration has been derived from the Latin word macerare, meaning to soak. It is a process of extraction in which the properly comminuted drug is soaked in the menstruum until the cellular structure is softened and penetrated by the menstruum and the soluble constituents are dissolved. The process may be differentiated into the following types. I. Simple maceration for organized drugs. Organized drugs consist of drugs which have a specific cell structure like stems, leaves, roots, flowers, etc. In this process, extraction of drugs is carried out by placing the solid material to be extracted in a closed vessel in contact with the whole of menstruum and allowing it to stand for 2 to 14 days with occasional stirring. Stirring is necessary to disperse the concentrated layer of the dissolved constituents around the solid particles. The drug used during the process is usually in a suitable state of subdivision such as coarse powder, small cut or crushed pieces, etc. Fine powders are generally avoided as they may pose problems during subsequent filtration. The final liquid is strained and Mayer pressed. The expressed liquid is added to the strained liquid. The combined liquid is then allowed to stand for some time when coagulation of colloidal materials takes place. The liquid is then clarified by decantation or filtration using a filter press or other suitable filter. Final volume is not adjusted. Water or alcohol is generally used as menstruum with the drug to menstruum ratio usually being 1:10. Closed vessel is used for the process to prevent evaporation of the menstruum. Preparations made by this process include tincture of lemon, squill and orange. 2. Modified maceration for unorganized drugs. For certain drugs like gums, resins, gum resins and oleogum resins which have no cellular or tissue structure and are obtained from plants as their exudates, the process of maceration has to be suitably modified as the Mayer left behind after extraction forms a compact mass and cannot be pressed. In such cases, the extraction is carried out by placing a weighed amount of drug in contact with 4/5 of the menstruum in a closed vessel for 2 to 14 days with occasional stirring. After the specified period, the clear liquid is decanted or filtered, the mark is not pressed and volume is adjusted by passing the remaining quantity of menstruum through the Mayer. Preparations made by this process include compound tincture of benzoin and tincture of tolu. 3. Multiple maceration. Multiple or repeated maceration is a more efficient method of extraction than single maceration because an appreciable amount of active constituents may be left behind in the first pressing of the Mayer which may be extracted out in subsequent maceration. The process is essentially similar to the simple maceration process except that the total quantity of menstruum to be used is divided in such a way that same quantity of menstruum is present during each maceration. However, allowance is made for the quantity of menstruum retained by the Mayer at the end of the process. Multiple maceration may be done in 2 steps when the process is known as double maceration or in 3 steps when it is known as triple maceration process. 4. Percolation. The term, percolation, has been derived from the Latin words per meaning, through, and colere meaning, to strain. The process may thus be described as a process of extraction in which the soluble constituents are extracted from a comminuted drug by slowly passing a suitable solvent through a column of the drug. Preparations made by percolation process include compound tincture of cardamom, strong tincture of ginger and tincture of belladonna. The drug is packed in a special extraction vessel termed as percolator. Percolators for ding extraction are available in a variety of shapes, size and composition. Percolators used on an industrial scale are generally made up of stainless steel while those used in the laboratory are generally made up of glass. These are either cylindrical or conical in shape. Cylindrical percolators are useful when complete extraction of drugs with a minimum expenditure of menstruum is desired. As the menstruum passes over the drug contained in a high, narrow column, each drug particle is more repeatedly exposed to the solvent. Conical percolators are suitable for drugs that swell considerably during the maceration process. The upper part of the percolator provides enough space for the expansion of the drug with little chances of choking. The entire percolation process can be divided into the following stages. I. Size reduction of the drug. E. Emulsion or moistening of drug. E. Packing. IV. Maceration. V. Percolation. V. Pressing of mark. V. Clarification. Reserved percolation. This is also a type of percolation process in which first portion, which is usually about 3/4 of the final preparation and contains the maximum amount of active constituents, is reserved and subsequent percolation is completed as usual until the drug is exhausted. The last part, which is about 1/4 of final volume, is collected separately and is evaporated to get a syrupy consistency, which is then mixed with the reserved portion of the percolate. The final volume is adjusted by adding more of mentruum. The process is advantageous in that the reserved part of the percolate, which contains the maximum amount of extracted drug, is not unnecessarily subjected to heat treatment and only the dilute portion is evaporated. The process of reserved percolation is generally used for the preparation of liquid extracts, as these are more concentrated preparations as compared to tinctures, which are usually prepared by simple percolation process. An example of such a preparation is the liquid extract of licorice, hot continuous percolation, or soxhlet extraction. This process of percolation is generally adopted for those drugs in which the penetration of the mentruum into the cellular tissues is very slow and the solute is not readily soluble into the solvent. It is also preferred when the quantity of mentruum to be used for extraction is very less. In this process, a small volume of hot mentruum is repeatedly passed through the drug packed in a special apparatus known as the soxhlet extractor to dissolve out the active constituents until the drug is completely exhausted.